I just wanted to discuss a little bit about the concept of fame, specifically the concept of global success, because there seems to be, um, like, if there's a group that gets to perform in Good Morning America, or they have a concert in the US, they're automatically called a global star. And I'm not particularly, like, I'm not very concerned about titles. I'm not very I'm not bothered by people wanting to call themselves this or that. I mean, if it helps you sleep at night, go ahead, right? But I guess just objectively, for us to have a clear understanding on what global stars are, because just I had an interview from, she's a Filipina, but she's working in Vietnam as a teacher. And one in our conversation, one of the things that surprised me is that when she asked her students, who their favorite artists are, she was expecting to hear international artists. She was, or celebrities is actually the term that she used, and she was expecting to hear like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, but instead she heard Mr. Beast, um, influencers, basically PewDiePie, these people. And big influencers on YouTube and TikTok. And she was so shocked that when she mentioned Beyonce, they did not know her. You can actually watch that interview, still up on my channel. So that was actually one of the, like, early, not early, but one of the confirmations that I got, that the concept of young people, of a celebrity, their biggest stars aren't really the ones that we think are big stars, right? For us, celebrities would be Meryl Streep, uh, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Kendrick Lamar. But for them, these people, they don't know many of these people. Nobody knew, again, in that they did not know who Kendrick Lamar is. And this is Vietnam. And then I have another friend who's actually teaching English in Japan, and it's even worse in Japan. Like, no one, if you ask them like their favorite celebrities, in their top 50, no Hollywood star or no Hollywood musician or Western musician will make it. It's just so different for them. And so I think we've just gotten to a point where the concept of global star has really evolved. And also, one, it has evolved, and the second is that we have a deeper understanding of what it actually means to be a global star, an understanding that we didn't have before, because a lot of the information that we got was very curated. So it's always two things: awareness and the evolution. Awareness, as I've mentioned, is we have a better understanding on what global fame is, global success is. Second is that global success itself has evolved, okay, because of technology primarily. It used to be that the gatekeepers are the ones that are controlling who's going to be able to use the technology or the resources that will be used to broadcast a certain information. Now it has different. One of the things that we are being more aware of is that not everyone packaged to be global stars are actually global stars, right? Like, we know the Beatles, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and many others, or a few others, should I say, they are legit international stars because we saw the pandemonium, that regardless of what country they go to have a concert, to perform, to guest in, they get mobbed, their concerts get sold out, their songs are being played. So we know these are legit ones. But then there are now many stars that we think are international stars, but you put them in another country, they probably are going to be they will be outsold by local stars. Okay. Many of the things that I'm going to be discussing, these are supported by research materials, and I'll put it in the description box just in case you want to read the research materials. Okay. Um, One is that what we like supporting has evolved, right? So, as I've said, in the old times, we want people like Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. And when I say we, I'm using that loosely, like humanity in general. We have, our taste has evolved. Our taste has evolved. And that has caused fame and success to be decentralized. You still have mainstream superstars, as I've said, like Meryl Streep, um, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, that they are big, they're just big. But then you also have stars that are stars for social media. And they are no less popular in terms of sales. If they sell something, it will still get sold out. They still get the support, they still get the views, they still get the earnings, probably even better than the ones that are being earned, that than the international superstars. So fame has largely decentralized. In the old model, gatekeepers like film studios, record labels, TV networks, they are the ones that are putting the celebrities. They're choosing the celebrities that they are going to broadcast. And then whoever they choose, those are the ones that we see. So basically, even before we get a choice on who to support, it has already been curated by the gatekeepers. But now, social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, they have allowed individuals to be a part of our option. And even better, we get to choose. Like we can actually search for whoever we like. It is not the resource, the platform is not anymore curated. Okay. The other thing is that there is now a huge difference between the niche and the mass, right? So mass is like Michael Jackson. He's just like popular all across the globe. But then you also have niche that are just popular in certain aspects, in certain platforms or certain industry, like Mr. Beast, for example. He's a very, very popular YouTuber, but he's not going to make it in a Hollywood movie, or he's not about to have a concert and sell it out. So someone can have a dedicated and highly engaged audience, and it could be by the millions, even if they're unknown outside their own niche. Again, Kai, I don't know if you know this guy, but he's like a very popular Twitch streamer. Right? Yeah, I know that Mr. Beast is actually doing a Netflix show. So Kai, he's getting mobbed in any country that he goes to. So he's very known for whatever antics that he's doing. I've tried watching some of his streams. It's not really doing any, like he's just doing whatever. So he's very popular in what he is doing and in his own industry. Put him out of it, probably nobody's going to pay attention. So that the there is now a mass media popularity or mainstream popularity, and then there is niche popularity, and not one is better than the other. Okay. And then the other thing is that because of the rise of authenticity, because everything is becoming visible, because fans are getting so much empowered, we people are actually rejecting the notion of coronation, right? And that means we don't like stars that are being shoved down our throat. So if there is an industry plant, we don't like it. If there is somebody who is being like, if this is getting a lot of paid playlisting, a lot of ads, a lot of exposure, we people don't like it because we perceive it to be an industry plant. So we don't like our stars getting chosen for us. We don't want other people choosing the celebrities for us. We want to choose our own celebrity. Um, Fans appreciate it when they are actually witnessing the journey. Um, so, for example, there are a lot of influencers online that we see grow from when they have like 1,000 subscribers to 1 million. We like seeing their growth. That is, and that feels more authentic to us because it's not like someone is saying that this is the next big thing. We're just seeing it. We're seeing it happen. If I just said like you, I hope I hope I get to 1 million someday. um And I hope I get to 1 million, because I feel like that's when I can really share, provide a bigger venue for Asian entertainers, Asian artists. Okay. We also like the illusion of authenticity, not necessarily actual authenticity. Again, when I say we, I'm using that loosely. I'm not saying like we, but like you meant like the audience in general. They like the We like the illusion of authenticity versus actual glamour. Like old models, they're so larger than life, perfect, everything is well made. Whenever they go out in the public, they're so well made, versus what we see now, where celebrities feel more like us, like they're not perfect. And that is one of the reasons Kim Kardashians and the sisters remain to be one of the most influential people in the world, even though a lot of people hate them. It's because they seem to be authentic, because we see them fight, we see them struggle, go through divorce, cry, whatever. We like The audience nowadays, they like feeling, knowing that the person that they're watching is also going through the same thing that we are going through now. Nowadays also, fame is more democratic, meaning everyone has equal opportunity, not equal opportunity, but everyone has an opportunity, has a route towards fame. It used to be, again, when TV, radio, or whatever, they are controlled by gatekeepers, the labels, the studios. Now anybody can have an account in YouTube, TikTok. For as long as you have a phone, internet connection, you can have an account in TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and you can broadcast yourself. But fame is also more ephemeral, meaning it is like in the old model, it's long lasting. That's why you have Elvis Presley, whose career spanned like decades, and Michael Jackson, for Meryl Streep, and all of these celebrities. Now it's very short lived. Viral sensation may be a trend for a week and then it fizzles out. Um, Also, fans are the new gatekeepers. And I think everyone actually, that has been more concretized with armies, with us, because we were the ones who really became the marketing department of BTS in the US, right? It's not anymore, it's not just the media, it's not just the big labels in the US, it's not just the studios, it's also us. Now, even though there is a transition on what is the new meaning of fame, global fame and global success, there are still some people who live in the old concept, and others still allow the old concept to affect their concept of global success, right? So now we understand that you do not need the validation and the push of big labels, big studios to actually become popular. There are a lot of popular celebrities who are just organic. They use their own skill, they broadcasted themselves, use free platforms in order to launch their fame. We know that there are two different global success now. But then a lot of people are still stuck in the old ways. They still want that mainstream validation, the old mainstream validation. And when they see what seems to be old mainstream validation, they still allow that to affect the real concept of success. I think there are three aspects we're talking about: actual success, and this is numbers, streams, sales. We'll talk about that in a bit. There's perception, which is largely controlled by the media, and then there's validation. Okay. Global success itself, the success, that is largely just numbers. That's what it is. If you can prove that you can sell what it is that you are selling, whether it's music or movies, that is success. Because there's no other way to prove and actually express someone's support to you except by spending their time or money on you. So if you can prove that you have sales all over the world, that is success. Okay. So actual sales number and then reach. There are very, very few. When I say reach, so It's not just, so for example, there are some artists who will be able to sell well in the US, but they don't really tour outside the US because they know that they're not going to pull the same numbers, right? So when we talk global success, we're talking reach globally. Okay. There are very few global artists that could dominate other countries as well. Most of them are big in their own country, but they can't make it or hack it outside of their country. Like Jay Chou, for example, he is the best selling artist in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China. He's the best selling artist. It's not even close. Nobody can come close to him. No other big artist from the West can come close to Jay Chou. But he can't hack it in North America. And then in Germany, for example, apparently when I searched for the two and checked the numbers of the two best-selling artists in Germany, this two came out. I don't know who they are, but the biggest artists from the US won't even come close to their numbers in terms of sales, streams, influence, anything. There are, but okay, just because you can't outsell them if you're a star doesn't mean that you don't need them anymore. For you to be actually globally successful, you still need considerable support from other countries. Tell me if I'm going too fast or if I'm all over the place, right? So just let me repeat that, just so we're all clear. Success, our perception of what global success is, has three different sections. Actual success, which is numbers, perception of success, and the validation of your success. Okay. We will talk about each of that. For global success, when I'm talking about actual success numbers, they are divided into two, not really divided into two, but it has two components: actual sales numbers and reach. So actual sales numbers will be streams, sales of your CDs, and then the other aspect would be reach. Because if you are one of the best selling in the world, but you're only selling in your own country, then you're not a global star. You're a domestic star, right? So there are very few that can sell well in different countries. For example, Jay Chou is a huge star in China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, but he doesn't really sell well in the US. So you can't really call him a global star because he's only popular in China. In Germany, these two dominate. They're not, no other foreign act can come close. But they're not a global star because if you put them in other countries, in the US, Canada, in any part of Asia, no one will know them. So they are big in their own country. They really, really sell well, but not a global star. But just because you can't dominate that country doesn't mean that you should not sell well. For you to actually become a global star, you still need to sell well in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world. And when I say different parts of the world, it's not just North America. Yes, the US will always be a big consideration because it is the biggest market, because it's not just one of the, but it is actually the biggest music market. But we're also becoming aware that there are other countries that we should be thinking about. For example, Japan, Germany, France, this are UK, these are the next big markets in the world. Okay, so just because you're not the number one in that country doesn't mean that you shouldn't be selling well in other countries as well. Okay, so that's reach. Now let's go to sales. Sales is CDs, streams, and shows. There are a lot of people who do not believe in sales anymore, but there is a resurgence of physical albums. In 2022, actually in 2023, vinyl actually made a comeback that is sold more than CDs. So some people are going back into the long play, the vinyl. For some reason they like it. So the sales of these things, it's coming back. We don't know how long the trend is going to last, but the sales is actually coming back. There People are starting to find the value of having a physical product from an artist. So that's part of sales. Shows. There are a lot of big artists that are unable to sell out stadiums. Think about it. Let's not go too far. of the many collaborators of BTS, think about who are the artists of all their collaborators, who among their collaborators are actually selling out stadiums. It's not all of them. Um, of course, Coldplay has been doing it, but think about the others. Have they actually, these artists who are celebrated by the media, being called the big star in the US, can they actually really sell stadiums? We know BTS has sold out stadiums, but can they, this their collaborators, can they actually sell out stadiums? So think about that. Vi Hart is asking, is Megan doing it? Her last tour is just an arena, not yet a stadium. Come on, go ahead, mention their collaborators, and you'll realize, like, if these people are actually big stars in the US, why aren't they selling out stadiums? Why are they just doing arenas? We know BTS has sold out arenas. I hate to remember it, but maybe Sia. Do you know that there is, anyway, we'll talk about it later. There's a trend among armies right now where they are pretending to be songs of BTS. And on featuring Sia is getting a beating. Okay. So think about that, and really, you'll have a clearer idea on how big these artists are that they are collaborating with, and you'll realize, okay, are these people actually popular, or are they being pushed by their label using streaming farms or whatever? Think about that. Okay, so next is streams. You do need to think about, because like there are, do you know who has the best streaming numbers are in Spotify, for example? Drake and The Weeknd. So, but then you have to dig deeper into that number, because yeah, the weekends, because a lot of them, like for example, this case of The Weeknd that he got into, he denied having a streaming farm. But if you look at the biggest stream, the cities where his streams are coming from, one of the biggest controversies is that Glendive, Montana, has less than just over 5,000 people, but it was the top city for him. How can you have that many streams when there are less than 5,000 people in a place? Like this is one, like millions. So people are now questioning, okay, where are your streams actually coming from? So as we dig deeper, we're going to realize that there are certain places in the US and certain places in the world, certain countries that are known for having streaming farms. So just because their streams are actually big doesn't mean that they actually are legitimate streams, right? So you do need to look not just at the numbers, but where they are coming from and the trend. Okay. So is that clear? Do you have any questions about the streams? There are, I'm sure that you know the countries that are known for having a lot of streaming farms, right? Um, Vinyl gives you a true studio sound. I recently started collecting. Okay. All right. So now the other aspect of it is validation, right? So I was talking about sales. Now let's look at validation and perception. So many of the people that we perceive to be successful, we perceive them to be successful and popular or whatever because of media, because we are being constantly told that they are good, that she's the queen, that she is the a groundbreaker, like she's the breakthrough artist, that she's introducing something new. So this information is being fed to us over and over again. But we need to realize that many of these people that are saying those things are actually getting paid there. So mainstream coverage is not a measure of success. Just because mainstream coverage say so, just because journalists say that they are good, that they are successful, doesn't make them successful. They're just saying that, but it doesn't make them successful. The response is the actual success. Um, for example, there are many artists that have an agency that can book them a show in certain shows in the US, in late night shows, Good Morning America. So, but just because they appeared in these shows doesn't mean that they are popular. It just means that they have a good PR company behind them or a good label behind them that's able to book them shows. So you have to look at the response of the market. Just because they were in Coachella, for example, doesn't necessarily mean that they are that popular. You have to look at how that exposure actually leads to reaction. So, for example, for 17 or for ESPA, when after 17 made an appearance in Good Morning America and after ESPA actually went to Coachella, look at how that affected their US sales, right? So, the guesting itself, the appearance in the shows, that's not the measure of success. The response will be the measure of success. Does that make sense? So if someone says like, oh, they're popular because they made it, they're a global artist because they made it to Coachella, that's inaccurate. The question is, they made it to Coachella, so what happened? How did it affect their sales? Ray Aviles asking, is ESPA, they were in Coachella? Yes, they were in Coachella. So, so, in summary, global success is measured still by two things: sales and reach. Those are the two measures: your sales and your reach. How much you're selling in a country and how many countries are you selling in. And just, you don't have to be the number one in that country, but you do need to have considerable success in that country. You need to have considerable pool. But just because you're selling, because selling is not just CDs, it's also concerts, it's also streams and sales. But just because you're getting the streams doesn't mean that it is valid stream. You still need to look under the hood. Where are the streams coming from? What countries are this coming from? And then um just because you have just because you're selling good in one country, you're selling out stadiums in one country, doesn't make you a global star. You could be a big star in that country, but if you're not selling out in other countries, then it doesn't make you a global star. So those are the two things: sales and reach. But each still has a lot more into it. You still need to look under the hood. You can't just rely on the numbers that are being presented to you because it's so manipulated. Um, Wusong once said he took a risk to place the Rose in a big arena, and since he had good ticket sales, they were invited to Coachella. Okay. Can you imagine if BTS played Coachella? I hope they do not play Coachella ever. Well, of course, if they do, I will still support them. And I said that because Coachella has been on a decline for many, many years now. Um, and I think their last great year was the year when Beyonce actually closed, when she was the main performer. After that, everything just went downhill. I think because they succumbed to what is popular instead of what they originally stood for. Originally, Coachella was to celebrate non-mainstream music. And then they just went into mainstream. So they forgot what they were about. So that started the decline of the brand. Good night, everyone. Good night, Beth. Mickey White. No, Hoan said no. No for the Coachella performance of BTS. Okay, does that wait? So I hope that I sort of clarified some things. That's just, of course, based on my opinion. I think a global star, global success is still measured. two ways. It still has two components, and that would be sales and reach, right? But then each of that, you still need to look under the hood. You can't just rely on numbers. You can't just rely on numbers. Um, just because the media is saying that someone is popular doesn't make them popular. So, Spring Day High, so think about it. Many of the celebrated names in Hollywood, are they actually selling concerts? And when they're saying that they have this many streams, where are the streams coming from? Think about that. So a lot of the collaborators of BTS, like when they say that, oh, she or this artist actually carried the song, I'm like, look at their streams, look at, are they actually selling BTS is selling stadiums, are they selling out stadiums? So it's easier to gauge the actual value and popularity and success of an artist that way, if you have actual numbers, look, if you're looking at actual numbers.